Now this week I'm actually going to be reviewing Tickle Pink, 2 designers, 4 indie dyers, and 8 Pinktastic patterns. This is by Cece and Danny Alman, of the Geeky Girls Knit podcast. Now, just so you know, this actually does not release until tomorrow, which is Thursday the 26th. I did get this, and I'm going to say I did get this as a, how do you put it, as a sneaky peek to be able to review it on time for this week's episode because I didn't want to delay the review because it's awesome. Spoilers. Anyway, right now it is still up with the pre-order, and I'll put that link to Ravelry in the show notes so you know. So, a quick little bit of an overview of this book. It is actually the third book by JavaPurl Designs, and it's actually the second that Cece has actually written with her daughter Danny. Now, I've been wanting to review this one as soon as they announced that they were working on another book. And like I said before, I did receive an advance copy from Cece, so that way I can review it for the podcast this week and post everything on my usual day. Now what I'm going to do is actually going to re-release a separate video on YouTube tomorrow, including all the pictures of the wonderful projects included. That way you can see everything for yourself and make your decision. I do have to tell you that my queue will have a lot added to it as soon as the book goes live on Ravelry tomorrow. I mean, these 2 ladies are geniuses. So can you blame me? I do want to knit like all of the projects from the book. It's really just a matter of time. Now, before I go through all the different patterns, I actually wanted to go through all the miscellaneous sections of the book and just kind of give my fair impressions of each of them. Now, so you know, the cover art of this book is freaking amazing. The cover art is actually done by Nimrus of Pandia's Jewels. I absolutely love the cat's knitting on this. It's so super cute. And honestly, I think it actually it encompasses everything that Cece and Dammy are. So, perfect combo. Alright, so on the dedications page, I do have to admit I was completely awed that they thought to dedicate this book to their podcast viewers. That was pretty cool to see almost as soon as you open up the book, actually. Kind of had me verklempt a bit. I'm not gonna lie. Now, with a table of contents, I do love that each of the patterns has its own close-up, and each pattern page is included so where you know where to jump to, as well as a link directly there. That is super cool and super awesome. It's very useful too. I mean, it makes the table of contents pages longer, but the sheer awesomeness of this just makes up for the length that it takes up, let me tell you. As to the introduction page, I do love the story that the 2 of them tell about how Tickle Pink came into being. Being that I'm a writer, I love to read that kind of stuff. I love the picture of all the projects together, which is very awesome. And honestly, this picture is super gorgeous. Those pom-poms, I mean, I don't wear pom-poms and I don't tend to like to make them, but that doesn't mean I can't appreciate a good pom, right? Let's see. There is a couple of pages in the back of the book where they include all of their abbreviations. I honestly love that Cece and Dammy included all the abbreviations that they used in the book, as well as a brief explanation of how to do each stitch type. This is very cool, and just in case you've never done that particular type of stitch before, even if you have, it's a good refresher tool. Just so you know, they also do include a link on their blog where they will be also explaining all of the different techniques used in the book as well. That is pretty cool. And just so you know, like I said, this is at the end of the book, so that way you can use the Stitch Dictionary or not, just depending on your preference. And if quite frankly, you don't have to. I'm not really the boss of you. Anyway, there is a page of thank yous, which is unbelievably awesome. Like I said, I love that they include their thanks for their yarn support, the dyers that helped them with the yarn, and everyone essentially that helped them through this process, as well as links to everyone and everything. It's absolutely amazing. What's even better is that they came up with this difficulty rating system for every project, which they've done since the very beginning, but this time around they labeled each project with a 1, 2, or 3 pink hearts. 1 heart is easy, 2 hearts is intermediate, and 3 is advanced. It's super cute, and I love how the book, doesn't, have the projects in the order of how difficult they are. So, I like the randomness of it, and they jump around a bit, which is pretty cool. Now, a big section of what I'm going to be talking about in this part of the review is the pictures. The pictures throughout the book are absolutely gorgeous. They are absolutely amazing. Not only did Cece and Dammy include pictures of each of their projects and have worn them to stylize them, but they also included some pictures of the two of them just being their wonderful and goofy, awesome selves. You can see what kind of tight relationship that the two of them have. And I have to say there are a few amazing shots of the two of them that they've included between each of the projects as well. One of my favorite photos in the book, it's actually a black and white shot of them toward the middle of the book. You'll actually just have to get the book to know what I'm talking about. It's absolutely awesome, and like I said, it is the two of them in a nutshell. All right, let's move on to all of the different patterns. You ready? I'm going to break down the projects the same way that they did in the book, by dyer, essentially. So the first two are actually from Neighborhood Fiber Company. They used they used a pink gradient set for each of these, which was an awesome idea. You two, let me tell you. The first pattern was called Easy Peasy 6-Color Gradient Socks, which was actually written by Dammy. She does include an awesome introduction to the socks. I do love how she breaks down the color progression through the gradient. I love that this is a pair of stockinette socks with a twist. I love the different views of the socks, and the contrast color makes the gradient pop. Dammy labeled this with labeled this as a 1 heart project, which I do agree, unless you're not really a fan of weaving in all those ends. But I have to tell you, that effect is worth it in the end. Definitely. Now, I'm going to tell you, this one's going right at my cue. I just don't know if I have the yarn for it, but I digress. The second pattern in the book is what Cece called I Believe in Pink. It's a hat. There's actually 2 different versions of this hat. One has the words I Believe in Pink on one line, and the other one does have it stretched across the front of the hat only. I love that each of the versions is charted and does include the written directions below it. And it also does give you a little bit of explanation on how to go ahead and do decreases on the top of the hat, especially if you have never done a hat pattern before. That is extremely helpful and very cool of her. I also love how Cece explains in the introduction that this is an Audrey Hepburn quote, especially if you don't know much about Audrey Hepburn and you haven't watched many of her movies, which, where have you been? Anyway, Cece labeled this one as a 3-heart project. I can definitely see this, especially if you have never done color work before. It's very difficult to do words in color work, but it's so worth the effort. Trust me on that one. All right, let's move on to the next 2 patterns, which were knit out of Suburban Stitcher yarn. Oh, pink, awesome. Anyway, the first pattern out of Suburban Stitcher was what Dammy called Diamonds in the Mine Socks. Now, first things first, The introduction made me smile with Dami's nod to Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Just read the introduction, you'll know what I'm talking about. This chart is unbelievably awesome. I love that it is super clear and quite upfront with you. Dami labeled these socks as a two-heart project. Basically, with how she breaks down the pattern, I can definitely see that. It's meant to be a little bit more difficult than an easy pattern, but she does make it seem easier than... Like, anyone can do it. I believe in y'all. Anyway, the next pattern was actually by Cece. She called this one simply Bashful Stripes Shawl. I do honestly love how the story of how these two colors came together, as well as the super cute photo of both Cece and Dami modeling the finished shawl together. Ugh, absolutely love it, and it came out absolutely gorgeous. Now, Cece labeled this as a one-heart project. I can definitely see that. The simple garter stitch pattern with stripes, it's super easy and pretty. Here's a project that you can work on when your brain just says, nope, don't want to do patterning today. Nope. I love this, as especially since I've had a few of those days recently where I just cannot get a pattern to work to save my life. Okay, the third set of patterns, the next two patterns were actually knit out of abstract fiber arts. The first one was actually written by Cece. She called this Thistles in Bloom Socks. Now I have to tell you, the thistle pattern is absolutely gorgeous. It's genius. I am so in awe of this pattern. I have been thinking maybe I need to challenge myself later on to be able to do these socks. I love the pretty colorway that they got from abstract. It does play very well with the pattern too. Cece labeled this one as a 3-heart project, and I do tend to agree with that. There is quite a lot going on. It's all at the same time, but the effect is so worth it. The next pattern is called the Alba cowl. Sorry, I have to learn how to pronounce that right. Anyway, this is actually Dami's pattern. I absolutely love this title, yo. It is a very Scotland title, which is exactly what Dami was going for. I do like how Dami designates every color on the chart. Especially, and I mean literally, every color she uses is down on paper. It coordinates with a square on the chart. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, honestly, it does come out a little dark in digital format, but it does match the colors used, which totally works. Dami has actually marked this as a 2-heart project, which is very fair. Juggling 2 colors can be difficult, but the effect is completely and totally worth the effort. So the last 2 patterns were actually knit out of Seven Sisters Arts. Love this color, guys. You'll have to see it for yourself to know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so the first pattern was written by Cece. She called this one, I Found Pearls in the Seaweed Socks. And now she's not talking about pearl as in the stitch in knitting. She's actually talking about the pearl. Anyway, I digress. I have one word for these socks. Cable-ishous. They are super pretty. I love how the different cable patterns work together. I also love that Cece also included additional abbreviations for this one as well. And the different shots of the socks make you really want to knit them as soon as possible. Cece did mark this as a 3-heart project, which I completely agree with, especially since there is a lot of different things going on. But as long as you follow Cece's thorough directions, have some patience, and read everything first, before you start the projects, of course, you should be perfectly fine. Especially if you like a challenge. I would say even beginner knitters that love a challenge would be able to do these socks. Let me tell you. Alright, and the last pattern is what Dammy called sea and sky wrap. All right. Now, Dammy created an awesome wrap that incorporates a 36 row repeat. It does mix a bit of lace work with some stockinette stitch, which is pretty much my jam with patterns recently. The lace work looks absolutely awesome. It's so super cool. I think I actually have a possible recipient for this one in mind already. But yeah, anyway. Dammy does mark this one as a 2-heart project. I think I will agree with this one. You do a bit of twisting stitches, which can be a bit finicky, but anyone who's okay with a challenge will be able to knit this one without too many tears, which I absolutely love. It's a running theme with this, trust me. But well done, Cece and Dammy. This book is so worth the wait. Thank you for letting me have a quick sneaky peek. I do appreciate that more than you will know. All right, I have a giveaway, yo. So now that I have gone through all the patterns included in the book, I'm gonna let you know I'm actually giving away a Tickled Pink. Yes, I am. I have a printed copy of the book with some goodies that Cece and Dammy are putting together as part as their pre-orders, and the pre-orders that happened back when they first announced the book. So lucky you, my wonderful viewers. As the book hasn't been released yet, the prize for this should be on its way soon-ish. In the meantime, I'm actually going to post 2 questions up on my Ravelry board that you can answer. And I prefer both of them to be able to be qualified. I will actually run the random number generator on May 18th, which, if you're wondering, happens to be on my birthday. And the winner of that will win the copy of the book as well as the goodies. So, what questions do you need to answer? Quite simple. The first, what would you like to knit first out of this book? Very simple. And the second question is, what is your favorite moment, or what is your favorite episode title of the Geeky Girls Knit, which happens to be Cece and Dammy's podcast? So make sure you do answer that question directly on our Ravelry board. I will be opening up that thread even before this episode goes live. Good luck, everyone!